Hey everyone, it's Jeff Trapp here with the Jeff Trapp podcast and the Tax Planning Pros. And I'm so glad that you've decided to join me today. It is my favorite time of year. No, not because the weather is changing and it's Halloween and we're headed into the holidays, but because it is tax planning season. This is the culmination of all the hard work that we've put in throughout the year to save our clients money on taxes. So today we've got a jam-packed episode. I do want to give you a few updates, right? And, hopefully by the time this podcast airs, the government and the IRS still won't be shut down. But as of today, they are. So I just want to run through kind of a list of essential services that the IRS is shut down on and some things that you need to be aware of. So if you've e-filed your tax return and it's a simple return and you have a refund coming back, there's a good chance you'll still get that refund. But if it's a more complex tax return, the IRS has said they're going to delay refunds and processing of those e-filed tax returns. If you paper filed your tax return, that tax return will not be processed. Payments won't be processed. Refunds won't be processed until some folks get back into the office to do so. Now, most of the online services at the IRS are still available, but some of them may be available in a limited capacity. So when you go click on the links on the website, maybe to get a tax return transcript or an employer identification number, you might experience some delays, or you may have to contact the IRS, which I hope you don't have to do because there's not really anybody over there that is picking up the phone. Now, one thing that IRS will not tolerate is if you owe them money, you need to send in that check that needs to be postmarked or make that payment to the IRS. Also, if you have tax returns that are due, and hopefully all your tax returns were filed last week or the week before with the tax filing deadline extension. But if they weren't, get those taxes filed. Now, pretty much all in-person services have been suspended. The taxpayer advocate, if IRS audits have been suspended, tax court cases have been suspended. Also, you shouldn't be receiving any notices in the mail from the IRS. Well, I think that's a great thing, right? During this time, because nobody's looking at tax returns and hopefully their automation department is down. And so they can't get those notices in the mail and sent out to you. So that's kind of the good news. So right now, the IRS is operating with a workforce about half of what it was. So they have a workforce of about 74,000 people or so. Now they're operating at, much, much less, about 36,000 people. So it's just going to be a long haul with this government shutdown and the IRS. And if you're hoping that, hey, maybe this drags on a little bit longer, or maybe they'll extend the tax filing deadline next year. No, that's not going to be the case. The tax filing deadline is not getting extended because of this. So a couple other things that are in the news recently that are really interesting. As you'll remember, several years ago, during President Obama's administration, the IRS used to target folks who contributed to conservative causes or conservative groups. Now, President Trump wants to make turnabout fair play and do the same thing to more left-leaning groups. I don't know how that's all going to play out. I don't even know if that's even legal. However, that's what has been in the news over the last few days, and we'll see what happens there. And we'll keep you apprised of that as we hear anything on that. So, like I said, there's a lot going on, real world, real time. But as these things happen out in our world and in the economy and with the government, that doesn't change the fact that we are at the end of October and you don't have very much time to get your life together when it comes to taxes. Now, if you're a procrastinator, and we have a lot of folks that knock on our door in December who are procrastinators and say, help, save me from the IRS. It's really, really tricky to be able to do that. Now, there are things that you can do, but if you're proactive throughout the year, you already got that plan and foundation in place and already know how you're going to bring down that tax bill, it really makes the end of the year that much easier, a lot more fun, and you can actually enjoy the holidays instead of, burping up your eggnog. So some things you want to keep your eyes out for at year end. How can you save money on taxes, right? If you're an individual taxpayer that just files W-2, your options are fairly limited unless you're working with a very, very savvy tax strategist or a company that is really heavily involved in tax advisory service, like our firm, the Tax Planning Pros, but there's other firms out there. It's really hard to bring down that tax bill. W-2 employees pay the most in taxes here in the United States. It's just the way that it is, the way that it works. So some things that you can do, some quick tips. These are the free ones. These are the easy ones where you don't have to write a lot of checks, is max out your health savings accounts, right? Want to be able to contribute that $8,550 per family, and you get a tax deduction, and you use that money for qualified medical expenses. You don't have to pay taxes on that. So if you have a high deductible health plan, that's a great way to save money. Second thing here, max out your retirement accounts, right? Make sure you're maxing out those retirement accounts to get those tax deductions. And now if you make too much money to contribute to a traditional IRA or a Roth IRA, then you're not going to get those tax deductions. But if you have a 401k through your job, those are some great ways to get write-offs. And the third way, I will say this for my W-2 high earning folks, take a look at some tax advantaged investments and things that can help you bring down your tax bill. And if you're working with a good tax strategist, they should have some options for you, especially if you're a high level W-2. And typically $500,000 plus would be kind of a high level at W-2 where you would qualify as an accredited investor to take advantage of those things. On the business side, right? Some really quick things that you can do to save money on taxes is, you can take advantage of the HSAs. You can take advantage of the retirement accounts. You can take advantage of those things, but you have a lot more options, right? Have you taken advantage of your tax deductible board meetings where you're renting out your home back to your business for those tax deductions? Really easy win there. Have you paid your kids their salaries this year for the work that they performed in your business? You can pay them up to $15,000 this year. Are we doing that? Have we done that? Are we making sure we're getting those tax deductions? Are we tracking our mileage and our auto expenses to get those tax deductions? Are we taking advantage of things like bonus depreciation, 100% write-off where you can buy furniture, fixtures, equipment, 100%, or there's 6,000 pound heavy SUVs, you can write off 100%. Even if you finance that vehicle, you can write those off. So there's some really quick wins and things there. Some other things that you can do. The IRS has a safe harbor rule where you can prepay your expenses up to 12 months in advance. So in December, if you're like, oh, shoot, I'm going to have a big tax bill and I've got all these expenses coming up in the first quarter, prepay those expenses. So you buy down your tax bill and then you have the rest of the next year to kind of figure out what to do if your income increases the next year. So those are some really quick hits and wins. And then you've got even greater flexibility when it comes to tax advantaged investments. And when you're partnered with the right tax strategist, you can really defer a lot of that income for several years and not pay as much tax. And so it's important as you listen to today's podcast that you consult your tax advisor on what I've talked about here today. And if they don't know what we're talking about, then feel free, hop on our website, thetaxplanningpros.com, and learn more about what we do and how we can help you out. And, we can be that resource. Anyways, I hope you've enjoyed today's podcast. If you have, please like, share, subscribe, and go out there, have a happy and safe Halloween and have a happy and safe tax planning season. And hopefully the IRS doesn't take all of your money. So once again, I'm Jeff Trapp with the Tax Planning Pros and the Jeff Trapp Podcast. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day.